One of the key issues for voters in the 2024 election is getting worse. High prices. New government data shows up 3% on an annual basis, inflation is. Last month, consumer prices rose 0.5%. Marks the fourth consecutive month of rising inflation. President Trump's three-word response? Quote, Biden, inflation up. Hyma Moore and Justin Sayfie join us now. Hyma is a former director of the Office of the Democratic National Committee chairman, and Justin is a former senior policy advisor to then Florida Governor Jeb Bush, knows about a lot of things that go on in the state of Florida. Good to see both of you. Justin, is it fair to blame the president for these numbers?
President Trump, no. President Biden and the Federal Reserve Bank, absolutely. The inflation numbers, President Trump just took office about 3 weeks ago, a little bit more than 3 weeks ago. Those numbers reflect the policies of the previous administration and the Federal Reserve Bank, which I don't think has really been held accountable for their monetary policies, which have led to so much inflation in the last 4 years, which made it a political anchor around the neck of all Democrats in the most recent election. So by all means, now, if we're talking a year from now, different story. But President Trump just took office a few weeks ago. Absolutely not fair by anyone's measure, at least by mine, to hold him responsible for it.
Hyma, a CBS News poll found 66% of Americans say the president, the current one, isn't doing enough to lower prices. So if he doesn't address this, you think Republicans are going to end up, if not paying at the ballot box, at least feeling some short-term political pain?
Yeah, look, I think Republicans are already in trouble when it comes to that matter. I mean, look, I think Donald Trump has done exactly what he said he was going to do, with the exception of one thing. He said he would lower costs and inflation on day one. Costs are up. Inflation's up. Job numbers are down. And so when you think about the politics of this, I think Donald Trump is not spending enough time working toward making those costs go down, inflation go down. So when you talk about DEI, talk about trans issue, I think most people don't really want to talk about that every day. They want to talk about how to make sure that eggs are lowered. Eggs are at an all-time high. That is not good for any administration. And I think to Justin's point, when President Biden became president just 4.5 years ago, I think Republicans were very quick, even 3 weeks in, to say it was Biden's fault for the economy. And so I think the economy, in theory, is in a strong position, yet inflation's still high because Donald Trump and his administration hadn't done anything yet to lower those costs.
Although these inflation numbers reflect the final weeks of the Biden administration last year. So to some extent, the current president is fair to suggest that this was the last guy's issue. But Justin, let me ask you. Go ahead, Hyma.
And I was going to say, when he ran for president, he told the American people he would lower these costs on day one. And regardless of
trust me,
possible or not, he has not done that. And I think the American people are going to really look at the president to do that. And he hasn't done that yet. And that's a problem.
Which is where I was going with my next question. So you anticipated where I was going. Justin, how long can he go blaming the last administration before he has to take some of the blame for this, you think?
Let's wait and see what the inflation numbers are 6 months from now. I mean, look, we have a political system where there are elections every 2 years. So the ultimate answer is 2 years from now when there will be Republicans and Democrats on the ballot again in November of 2026. But I think the American people are smart enough and wise enough to know that when you've been in office for 3 weeks and egg prices are still high, it's not the responsibility of the current administration. And I think with the egg prices, a lot of it has to do with the bird flu that has been ravaging America's chickens, the hens that are laying a lot of these eggs.
Well, he could be doing something about bird flu. Is he?
He could be. And but I mean, I think that that's something that it's fair to look at and it's fair to talk about. But I think overall, when you look at the CPI, which is the number we were talking about, it includes a lot more than just eggs. It includes all consumer goods and the inflation overall in the economy.
Got it. You got any concern, Justin, about the influence that Elon Musk is having over the president?
No, I think it's a political winner for the president. It's a political winner for the president to have someone who's as accomplished and as successful as Elon Musk. The Tesla car is an amazing technology. Skylink is an amazing technology. The things that Elon Musk has done, I think Americans are cheering him on when they know that someone who's been one of the most successful entrepreneurs in America is now looking at the tired, old, decrepit systems in Washington, D.C., and bringing an outsider's perspective to these governmental agencies. There is a lot of efficiency that is possible in the American government, but it doesn't happen unless you have someone who's willing to be bold enough to take on the status quo, to challenge these bureaucracies, and to actually make some real change. So I think it's a political winner for the president. I don't see too many politicians running for office saying, we're going to protect the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C.
And Hyma, as you watch your party respond to this, I know there's some concern that maybe progressive groups should be focusing their ire not on Democratic leadership, but perhaps Republican leadership. How's the party?
Yeah, look.
How should they be responding right now?
No, I agree. Look, I think Hakeem Jeffries, who's the clear leader of the party right now, let's just be clear. Hakeem Jeffries has a great message, and it's a bipartisan message. And it's about what's happening in people's pocketbooks, on their kitchen tables, and what their jobs look like. So I think the American people are tired of politics. They don't want to hear about what's going on with the size of government. They want to hear about, are they going to keep giving their Medicaid benefits? Are they going to keep getting costs going down on eggs? Are they going to have their job next week? And so I think if Democrats can focus on those issues and spend a little less time trying to meet Trump where he is every time he signs an executive order, or every time he says something about DEI, or every time he says something about the trans community, I think Democrats have to be really, really focused. And I think another thing, I disagree with what the counselor just said a minute ago with you, Ed. I don't think Donald Trump has a mandate. You got to remember this. There were 75 million people who voted for Kamala Harris. 76.6 voted for Donald Trump. That's not that much of a difference. And so I don't think there's a big mandate for Donald Trump to go in and wreck the government. I think people were sick of paying too high for eggs and car insurance and housing, and they thought that Donald Trump can bring it down for them. They did not want him to go in and wreck the government the way he's doing it.
I will let you two jump into the Zoom room and keep fighting this yourselves, but we got to go to break and move on. Hyma Moore and Justin Sayfie, thank you so much for being here. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ed.